And today we're going to go over everything that I did essentially throughout my career, how I earned the top industry salary, and the exact system that we use today for our clients. And we helped over 100 people over the past 2 years. We helped them over 4 different continents: USA, Canada, Europe, some parts of Asia, and last but not least is kind of the LATAM region. But now we are, focusing USA, Canada mostly. But we started in Europe, and we always loved helping people. Here today we're going to go over 4 most important things that we noticed that lead to just generally more quality offers, all of our systems and what it includes. Everything that we're going to cover today changed not just my career but my life overall. I used to work like a dead-end job and had no real direction in life. Then with the help of my mentor, actually my technical mentor Ivana, I managed to get my first IT job, but frankly it sucked and they didn't want to promote me despite working really hard and giving every bit of energy that I had. I was finding bugs in even the code of seniors, and I wasn't the best employee. Of course I always tried to give it my all, and after a year I wanted to move out of the country, but I was getting only rejections after rejections. There was no quality companies that wanted to actually hire me or sponsor my relocation. I truly felt stuck and depressed. And 3 years later I was in a senior position. I managed to land myself a 6-figure job. I was earning more than my own technical mentor who helped me get my first job. And the 4 different steps that we have here kind of connect them, and these are your way to get to those big salaries. Firstly is the marketing side of it. Many people miss this. Some people call it positioning, visibility, but after all, it's just marketing. And this is your way of essentially getting those interviews, right? So if you don't get any interviews, you're not going to have any chances whatsoever. The next is the soft skills, and this could be, also, selling yourself, how well you pitch yourself to companies, what is the confidence that you come out of, just the overall the behavioral side. I placed this before even the 3rd step, which is the technical, because honestly I found out that the behavioral side can be vastly more important than even the technical stuff sometimes. You hear it all the time with people this guy is just selling himself more than me. It's really important, and I feel that's kind of the second bottleneck that most people face. And last but not least is the 3rd secret kind of is you gotta have a consistent way of passing interviews, preparing for interviews, knowing what they're going to ask you when you walk in, and again you should be prepared. Something that covers each of these steps, and I feel nothing is going to matter if you don't nail this, because it doesn't matter what strategy you have for each of these components. If you don't have essentially the right mindset, nothing else that we do down here matters. And we're going to get now into each of these. So firstly is the marketing, the sales side, the technical skills, and the mindset overall. And I will explain each of these components and how well they tie together. And I will start with marketing, sales, tech skills. And then last but not least, stick around the mindset, because if you don't nail this, nothing else matters. If you don't have a way to market yourself, you're just going to have a hard time competing against any market, really. That doesn't really apply to tech, but it applies everywhere. If people don't know how well you can present yourself, even online, the amount of people that can see you, essentially, you're limiting yourself to only job boards, which are quite limiting. And they just don't really, they wouldn't offer what you're looking for, which is getting to those really good companies. And they would have to know just by looking at your profile what it is. And the way I found how important this actually is, it first used to be email, and back then I wanted to go outside of my country, because I'm from Bulgaria originally, so I wanted to go to the Netherlands. My ex-girlfriend at the time was there. I wanted to move out, but I couldn't really get to the companies that offered a relocation, and I felt quite stuck. I applied to hundreds and hundreds of jobs, I got absolutely nothing back. And honestly, it felt quite discouraging. It felt like I wasn't good enough. Even though I spent like the last year and a half contributing to like meaningful projects, and it was essentially kind of a really bad time of my life, if I have to be completely honest, because I wanted to even quit development as altogether. And hopefully my mentor was there to support me. At that time, it was email, but honestly, email is quite frankly not that useful right now. LinkedIn is way, way, way better. And you probably know this by now, all the optimizations, whatever. But essentially, if you figure this out, and I would suggest you focus on LinkedIn, because that compounds over time, and it's not, how they say, it's I feel like it's even easier to crack, and it's just way more powerful. So if you crack these, your KPI here, you can get anywhere from 1 interview to like 10 plus interviews a week. So that's how powerful these tools can be. And that's why you should pay very close attention to what I'm about to tell you right now. Something that I want to get into is like the first point here being like one of the most important things that I see many people mess up, essentially targeting and the clarity that they have in their career. A lot of the time people don't know exactly the roles that they have to target. Like maybe they have like 5-10 years of experience, they're all over the place. What I found out works best for most people, especially in the web dev, full stack space, front end, back end, etc., is being like T-shaped. What this means is that you are very specialized, and in like one tech stack, you can do a lot of things like ship like products end to end without having the need to get support from anywhere else. And I feel like a lot of people try to learn all of the different languages that are out there, but honestly, what we just focus on in the program is like one language, like a specific tech stack, and that's it. So it can be like JS with like MERN-stack, right? But of course, make sure that whatever you pick here is actually in demand, right? So for example, like now Go is hot, Python is hot, generally the AI stuff is hot, but, and here is where most people go wrong, is they try to switch to the newest thing, always trying to switch to whatever is hot right now. And now it's AI. And I honestly suggest people to just stick to what they know, because they have undeniable proof of what they can actually do for companies. And that's what they essentially look for. If you're starting over with AI, there's going to be data science people that are way better than you because they've been doing this for 5-10 years. The next thing is, when you're clear on like your target position, it's time to optimize your profile. Again, LinkedIn, right? So optimize your LinkedIn profile. I have like a free guide on this. If you optimize this profile correctly, you're going to have recruiters coming to you, because LinkedIn just naturally will push your profile more. Whatever the traffic comes in naturally, you're going to be able to capture it. With more strategies, you can create more demand for your profile, but everything starts with your optimizing of your profile. The next thing is SSI. And SSI is very, very interesting. Essentially, this is like your social selling index that LinkedIn uses to rate your profile amongst the algorithm. And there is essentially 4 points that need to align for LinkedIn to push your profile massively. Firstly is personal brand, then is finding the right contacts, then it's engaging with insights, and then is building relationships. These are all of the things that LinkedIn ranks you on. So personal brand is how well your profile is optimized and conveys the message that people want to see from you. Finding your own contacts is just connecting with people in your industry, with like recruiters, hiring managers, developers, thought leaders as well. If you can manage to connect with a lot of like influencers or whatever, inevitably it's going to spike up. Engaging with sites is liking, commenting, reposting stuff. Building relationships is more about having those DM conversations, not just generic messages, but building real relationships on the platform that can actually push you. And that's very different from the job boards that we are so used to. But why you should do this is because most of the time people actually get hired through referrals, and that's like 70%. And people don't really know that. If you manage to nail these things down, people will naturally want to connect with you more, and you have a lot of traction coming to you just naturally. Selling yourself is a big topic. It's not something that you can grasp just like that. It definitely takes a lot of practice, a lot of repetition. I have maybe gotten my most paid jobs just through essentially selling myself during interviews. And I'm going to be honest, I am not the best technically. I essentially, again, know how to market and sell myself better than most people. Even at like my last job, they told me they expected more from me technically. But because I was such a good fit to the team and how I articulated myself, how I had like teamwork and like so on, they still wanted to extend me an offer and negotiate. It's a very different skill from what we are really wanting to focus on, which is like technical skills. People vastly avoid doing this step, but I can assure you that selling changed my life completely. I changed how I view people, how I view relationships, like personal relationships. If you're having trouble within your personal relationships, learning to sell yourself, read people's emotions, see how people react on certain words that you say, very big thing, like life-changing. So here the KPI to go over is you must pass 80 to like 100% of your behavioral interviews. If you go back to this example here, imagine if you have like 10 interviews here, right? You have 10 here, and if you pass 100 of them, 10 go to technical round. If you pass 5, then you have 5 rounds. So your chances are getting slimmer and slimmer. And if you get one interview and you only get 50% of the interviews, then it's if you get 2, then there's only 1. The chances are massively decreasing, right? The good thing is it's actually way easier for you to sell yourself than most people think, because honestly it can require just 10 to 20 minutes of prep and of course some work prior to that, but you can just spend 10 to 20 minutes to research the company and it's going to boost you massively. I don't know why people don't do it, but just look at the website, see what they have to offer on the market, see what their product is like. Just get excited for the company. You can be there for like a decade. Your career literally depends on this. Like, who are you even going to an interview with? Research the people. If you added them on LinkedIn, which you probably should, try to get curious. If you mention that, I saw what you're doing here, guys, I was really fascinated by this. Your whole interview is going to change with a single sentence. If somebody comes in on like a meeting or a date and they're like they just did their homework, right? Just way more professional. Here is what you can do outside of those 10 to 20 minutes of research, which I'm going to name here. The second thing is just learn how to pitch yourself and adapt your pitch to whatever the company needs at that time. So if it's a startup, talk more about individual contributions, talk more about like speed, talk more about the ecosystem, like funding, maybe, whatever. And if it's more like corporations, then it's more leadership, ownership, etc. tied to them. That's the best advice I can give here. And reframe your experience, because if you don't reframe your experience, it may sound bad. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have weaknesses, but every weakness you have, you should reframe it as a strength. For example, I can be very distracted. I have ADHD. So what I do is I double, triple check stuff. That's kind of an easy reframe on the spot here, right? Don't give them objections. And if you do give them objections, make sure to battle them right away. If you think something sounds a bit off, because the only thing they care about here is if you can do the actual work. The next stuff is be likable. I would say like humble. You can like smile, laugh, try to mimic people. That's best. Like not. Make sure to listen. Don't just wait to say something. Actually listen to them, dig deeper into their questions, make it a conversation rather than an interrogation. And of course, don't take stuff seriously. You're here to learn, you're here to get feedback. you're never going to get properly evaluated in an hour time. Then we're going to move into negotiations, which is a crucial part of everything, right? When they have no more objections, then it's about, can you actually accept that salary? You gotta do like salary research prior to that. Whatever you have right now is vastly different from whatever was a year ago, 3 months ago, 5 months ago. And it has to be also dependent on the company itself. So you gotta know your salary before you walk into the room. And if you don't know that, you're just losing a lot of money, frankly. I have negotiated like 10, 15, 20% more. Clients have negotiated like even like 50K more than they were offered. And like some people earn 55K a year, right? And this guy just negotiated 50K more on top of his salary. If you don't know the numbers, it's going to be really hard for you to place yourself in a good environment to actually make the most out of it. Or you can actually filter out yourself by saying such a low number or such a high number. You really gotta do your research here. You can use like Levels, FYI. There is a bunch of websites like Glassdoor. The information is out there. You just gotta dig and find it. Last but not least is practice. A lot of people they know what to do, but they just don't put the practice in. And here I can suggest you can do like recordings. You can do like in front of the mirror. You can, rehearse scripts even, and for you to make it sound more natural, because the more you repeat it, the easier it gets. You can also rewatch like past recordings. This is really powerful, especially now where you can take notes without people actually realizing, and you can really analyze yourself and analyze your answers. I mean, this kind of blends into the tech stuff too. But right now you can let Faram in, and yeah, you can just go back to the call and like rewatch it. And I can guarantee you, just go and rewatch like one interview that you had, and watch yourself in a third perspective. It's just wow. just go ahead and do that. Trust me, it's going to take you 10 minutes, maybe 30, but go through the interview and watch yourself from third perspective, and you're going to notice how well or how not well, like how bad you actually do on like this particular case. The KPI is 80 to 100%, and it's very, very important for you to nail this. Very important. We can now move into the tech skills. This is not to be taken lightly. If you are not good technically, you're just not going to get offers. Sure, there is different companies that have essentially different standards. For one company, senior is one thing. For the other is another thing. So it's really company dependent, and it's really also interview dependent. It can be a managerial interview. It can be a tech stack that you know. Whatever you get here, if you're not getting the right tech interviews here, your targeting is not good. So whatever the first step that I outlined there and whatever I said there, go back to it here if you're not getting good interviews. But again, if you're not good technically, you're never going to get an offer. You don't have to be the best. As I said, I'm not the best technically, but you sure gotta know your stuff. You have to be confident, and you have to know that you can do the job. And when you're 5 years into your career, if you don't know that, then it's the fourth step, the mindset, which we're going to get into. Here, the KPI that we are aiming for with our clients is 50% to offer rate. If you can get it more, I have managed to get it significantly more to like 70, like 75-ish. But just 50% of interviews should turn into offers. If not, something might be wrong with the targeting, or it's your technical abilities. Now that you know the KPI that we have inside the program, the things that I noticed the most is actually fundamental stuff that most people struggle with. It's like the foundations of every career, of every language. It can be like frameworks. People sometimes they glance over them. They don't focus on them too much. And honestly, to not discourage you, even people that I've coached at like FANG, their fundamentals were not not the best. Everything kind of compiles into that, and when you move into the second step, which is the system design, it can give you a lot of clarity on why you should use something, like the trade-offs you make, the performance optimizations you make. It can give you a lot of foundations on like design patterns. So don't glance over your fundamentals, otherwise you might face a lot of difficulties after that. The system design stuff is required for the higher ranges of salaries. So if you don't really know that, it's going to be really hard for you to break into like really good salaries. Last but not least is going to be the SAE LeetCode. I feel like it's still especially required into the market. Honestly, I don't really find it that useful myself. Sure, the data structures I feel like essential to know, but the LeetCode, I don't really like it. I don't really think anybody does. I want to know how many people dislike LeetCode, honestly. But how essentially you are able to prepare for this, and how we just do it in the program is just, you know, working one-on-one with somebody through like a proven roadmap, somebody that can evaluate you, having somebody by your side to teach you, to do mock interviews with you, and who has already done and been inside those companies. It's just a cheat code. You're borrowing essentially years of experience from them. Just how I borrowed years of experience from my technical mentor when I was starting out. And essentially that's how I was able to get an interview so fast. But I feel like there isn't a faster way for you to learn those stuff. Unless you want to spend quite a long time by yourself, it's going to be difficult to get there quite fast, especially if you have like 3 months of runway or even 6 months, right? But again, everything compounds on itself. Now, moving on to last but not least, it's the mindset. Again, everything that we talked here today won't matter. If you skip kind of this step, you're going to fall off. You're going to essentially find it difficult. I'm speaking to a lot of people that are generally very, very, very affected by the current state of the market and how things are going right now. But if you essentially miss this, I can promise you that it's going to be way difficult. And whatever step you're in that we talked about previously, it's not going to matter. So the way we go about it in dev school is we start by adjusting like our expectations. Directly or indirectly, I talk about this extensively. You know, people tend to vastly underestimate how long or how hard something is, because we are naturally very pain avoidant creatures. And for a very good reason. We like, pain is not fun, right? And people have vastly different expectations of where they stand. It's either in the opposite directions, right? Either they overestimate or they underestimate. And doesn't matter in which place you're in, you're just setting up yourself for failure. Here, adjusting your expectations to where you truly stand is the most powerful thing that you can do for your whole job search, and that can push you for a longer period of time. Or if that's not set right, you can exhaust yourself and basically give up. Something else that we do, especially for people with like imposter syndrome, like confidence issues, and so on and so forth, is what I call a wins doc. A wins doc is essentially you are noting down all of your relevant past achievements from your career, from personal life, whatnot, and you are reading them maybe every day, even, or even twice a day. But you gotta make sure that whatever you noted there, you gotta just build so much proof that it's unreasonable for your mind to not switch, and kind of convince yourself that you're really good, because most of the time people are really good. That's a really quick and easy way for you to essentially boost your confidence, going back and reading them, not just doing it once and forgetting about it, but actively adding into the list. And when you have enough stuff, you can just read through it and maybe not even add anything more. But it's also good to celebrate your wins, even if they're small, even if they're big. Something else that's really important is to take breaks, sleep well, which I don't really do. My girlfriend can can be an advocate for that. General health stuff, walking, like fitness. Without this, you kind of have to deload from like maybe intensive interview sessions. You gotta have time to reflect on whatever has happened, taking feedback. Otherwise, it's not going to matter whatever actions you take if you don't take feedback from it. And the best way for you to spot whatever you're doing wrong is for you to be in the best condition possible. Again, interviews themselves, like on-time performance. That said, it's going to be really hard for you to take feedback if you don't have the right data and review everything and take feedback to improve upon it. Otherwise, you're just going to spin your wheels and be in the same place. Here, you can just take notes, like after the interview. Review the videos, the notes that somebody took. Try to actively take notes, because I feel like if you just let like an AI note taker do it for you, you're not going to build how they say those skills of spotting what's wrong, and you won't be able to correct them when it matters the most, which is during the interview. So I would highly advise you to begin recognizing your bad patterns and essentially slowly but surely trying to correct them. And of course, not everybody is perfect, but all we do here is to try to just be better for our careers, for our life, for our family, whatever your reasons are. So that's kind of the 4 steps here, and I can maybe provide this to a doc, but just to kind of recap it, of how to diagnose your pipeline. If you're not getting enough interviews, your marketing is not in the right place, you're not targeting, your profile is not optimized. If you're getting some interviews but you're not passing even the initial screening call, or you're getting to those hiring manager interviews and you're still not getting extended an offer, then it's most likely selling yourself. Not most likely, but for sure. And again, if you're going and failing the technical skills, like we all know it, you just gotta ramp up your technical. And last but not least is the mindset. If you don't got that in check, no strategy is going to work. You're essentially going to fall short. Sorry to be direct, but that's just how it is. I'm going to provide you with all of the links that I mentioned throughout. If you guys are looking for help, especially in like personalized, like one-on-one setting, I just cannot recommend our service enough, because we know how much time we're putting in and how many people we've helped. And I would love to help you, essentially. We can set up a call to see if you're a fit. Just shoot me a DM and we can take it from there. But just to give you clarity and to just be completely honest, we do have like 6 or like 7 spots for like 2 months, and after that we won't be able to take any more people unless we wait. Maybe some people will get hired really soon, so we can open more spots, but we are generally overworked. We can essentially guarantee that 100% you're going to get interviews, and all of our clients have landed jobs. There has been a few, I'm not going to lie, that haven't sadly achieved their desired result, but for the past 7 months there hasn't been a single case. Just again, DM me, check out the stuff that we have inside DevSchool. I'm always trying to make like live streams like that. So thank you so much again, guys, and I wish you a wonderful day and night, wherever you're located in the world. Bye bye.